The big issue I have is with Travis Hunter. She's crying herself to sleep. What in God's name would make you think that that's a good thing to tell the world? Why would you do that?
But for him to be engaged already and for him to be about to get married and he doesn't even have a prenuptial agreement, are you out of your mind, Travis Hunter? No disrespect to the young brother, I'm a fan, but bruh, slow this down.
I feel the same pain that she feel. We're inseparable, bro. You know, you hurt, but you just cry yourself to sleep and you just be gone.
What happens when a young NFL star's biggest win isn't on the field, but in protecting the woman he loves from a social media storm that could destroy her? Travis Hunter's engagement was supposed to be a celebration, but it turned into a public trial. Trolls, celebrities, and even cultural commentators tore into his fiancée, Lyanna, painting her as the villain. Then, Stephen A. Smith stepped in, and what he said shocked everyone. The truth behind this viral controversy isn't what anyone expected, and it might just change how we think about love, loyalty, and fame forever. Stephen Smith had finally reached his breaking point after watching viral clips of Travis Hunter's wife in tears on social media, overwhelmed by weeks of relentless gold digger accusations piling up like weights she could no longer carry. Instead of staying silent, the bold ESPN host took matters into his own hands, confronting Hunter directly during an Instagram live session. What he said wasn't just commentary, it was a sharp reality check. The kind of message that could reshape the way Hunter views his marriage, protects his public image, and is perceived by the world at large. This wasn't Stephen A. doing his usual hot take routine. This was him walking straight into the fire with words no one saw coming.
Hunter and his fiancée, Lyanna Lene. For some reason, these two young people feel the need to hit the social media airwaves to defend their relationship in front.
Stephen A. Smith has never built his reputation on playing it safe. His career thrives on bold takes, sharp words, and a refusal to sugarcoat anything. So when the controversy surrounding Travis Hunter and Lyanna Lene erupted, most people assumed he'd either ignore it altogether or deliver the usual cookie-cutter advice about keeping family matters private. But instead, Stephen flipped expectations on their head. He threw his full support behind Lyanna, delivering a passionate and razor-sharp defense that proved something important. When the pressure is at its peak, influential voices in the media don't always have to add fuel to the fire. Sometimes, they can stand as a shield against the storm.
Why are you explaining to the world how much you care about him? Does he know? That's all that matters. You are on camera, your voice cracking.
Make no mistake, the pressure on Lyanna wasn't random gossip. It was a coordinated attempt to shred her reputation. The frenzy hit its peak when old clips and alleged DMs from 2020 to 2021 suddenly reappeared on May 24, 2025, her wedding day. The timing wasn't unfortunate. It was calculated, cold, and meant to poison a moment of joy. The edits painted her as out of control. One clip reportedly showed her dancing with another man at a party, and screenshots claimed flirty IG exchanges. Authentic? Uncertain. The timeline? Muddy. The intent? Overtly malicious. And in the court of public opinion, drama outruns facts every time. That's where Stephen A. cut through the noise. Instead of swallowing the internet's storyline, he called out the manipulation head-on. He didn't log on with a casual take. He brought receipts and standards, walking through how the timeline of Travis and Lyanna's relationship is unclear and noting those resurfaced posts could predate anything official between them.
Don't do it. Take it from your boy Stephen A. Because you know I'm rooting for you. First of all, I think she's beautiful. I think y'all a beautiful couple. I wish you nothing but the best. Secondly, you got Prime. Talk to your coach. That brother knows. They came after him too, and look at how
his shining. Stephen A.'s response wasn't just about protecting Lyanna, it was a masterclass on how easily narratives get twisted when context is stripped away. And when Stephen speaks, people don't just hear him, they stop and pay attention. With decades of credibility in the media world, his words carry weight far beyond an Instagram live. That's why what he said next left everyone stunned. Instead of piling on criticism, he flipped the script and defended the couple. His strongest moment came when he called out the unfair pressure being thrown at Lyanna. Forget what she may have done years ago. She's still young, still figuring life out. This isn't a woman with decades of experience pulling strings. It's someone who, like all young people, is bound to make mistakes.
you gotta be stronger than that. You gotta have alligator skin. You're a young lady. A beautiful young lady who one would surmise completely loves her man and is looking forward to spending the rest of your life with him. Congratulations. But it's about him, not about what other people think about you with him.
Hearing Stephen A. Smith come to Lionel's defense was the twist no one expected. But it wasn't just his words, it was the unfiltered passion behind them that made people stop scrolling and pay attention. He reminded the world that at only 23, Lionel wasn't some scheming mastermind. She was simply young, human, and inevitably imperfect. Still, Smith didn't stop at defending her reputation. He turned his focus to the couple themselves, delivering advice laced with tough love. His frustration was impossible to miss, his voice even cracking at one point, proof of how real the moment had become. Then came one of his most powerful lessons about navigating public scrutiny, a gem that instantly stood out. But when Smith locked his eyes on Travis Hunter, the tone shifted. The gloves came off. His words were sharp, necessary, and impossible to ignore. And then came the line that hit like a gut punch. "You don't see these trolls out here, bro."
That? You're about to go into the National Football League. That's what you're about to do. You're about to get paid. In my eyes, this should be your most selfish time. You need to think about the people that you're involving in your life. How close-knit they are. Do they keep things internal? They're gonna go on social media and express themselves.
From that point on, Stephen A.'s words cut even deeper as he shifted to Hunter's future in professional sports. Surprisingly, he applauded the couple's bold choice to deactivate their Instagram accounts, framing it not as retreat, but as strategy. To him, stepping back wasn't a sign of weakness. It was proof of discipline. After all, sometimes the smartest way to win a rigged game is to refuse to play at all. But Smith wasn't done. He closed his message with a touch of borrowed wisdom from comedian Cat Williams, transforming the exchange into something bigger than a reaction. It became a masterclass on how to survive, adapt, and thrive under the relentless glare of public criticism.
Let me tell you something, bro. Listen to Cat Williams. You got 50 haters, man, you should be happy you don't have 100. 200, 500. Alligator skin, bro. Develop more of it. Let it roll right off your chest.
The timing made Stephen A.'s words land with even more weight. This wasn't some throwaway tabloid story about a celebrity couple feuding. This was a young black athlete at the top of his sport being told by strangers that the woman he loved wasn't good enough for him. Those racial and cultural undertones added layers that only someone with Smith's deep understanding of black athletes' struggles could unpack. He even echoed Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders, who had already called out public figures like Des Bryant, Bow Wow, and Godfrey for broadcasting their takes on Hunter's marriage instead of reaching out privately. For Smith, backing Sanders wasn't just about shielding Lionel, it was about setting a higher standard for how celebrities and influencers handle the personal lives of young athletes. And here's what made it resonate. Smith's choice took guts. In a media landscape that thrives on clicks and chaos, defending someone drowning in criticism isn't the easy move. He could have stayed silent, played neutral, and protected his brand. Instead, he leaned into compassion over controversy, fully aware that it wasn't the business-smart move in a cutthroat industry. But his defense wasn't simply emotional. It was razor-sharp. He didn't just tell critics they were wrong. He broke it down piece by piece, showing exactly why their approach was toxic. Smith explained how endless public commentary doesn't resolve anything. It fuels the fire, magnifies the hate, and drags out the spectacle even longer. He laid bare the mechanics of how social media pile on a spiral, mapping out how a single rumor can snowball into a full-blown character assassination. What made his stance even stronger was his recognition of the generational gap. He highlighted how digging up youthful mistakes, especially from years before someone's fame, is both unfair and misleading, particularly when the timeline of relationships is blurry. This wasn't just media talk. It was mentorship. The kind of honest, hard-earned guidance young stars almost never get from someone with Smith's influence, but desperately need to hear.
Liana, what are you doing? Before I go any further on this subject, let me fully explain. She also went on to explain her actions following Colorado's last home game, where fans wondered why she didn't seem to give him a hug. And then she explained to fans why she didn't respond to Travis when he first tried to holler via a DM.
The reaction to Stephen A.'s defense spoke volumes about the culture we live in today. Many praised his empathy, calling it refreshing to see a media heavyweight use his platform to protect rather than destroy. Others, however, criticized him for inserting himself into a private matter, overlooking the reality that this situation had already been dragged into the public spotlight and blown far beyond repair. But Smith's choice stood as a clear example of what happens when a public figure opts for elevation over exploitation, responsibility over cheap sensationalism. And in making that choice, he didn't just defend Lionel. He reframed the entire controversy, shaping how it would be remembered and even setting a precedent for how future scandals might be handled. To fully grasp the magnitude of Smith's stance, though, you have to rewind the tape to where this storm truly began. It wasn't the leaked clips or the viral screenshots that set things in motion. It was a single hesitation, a fleeting moment that would echo across the sports world for months. That moment came courtesy of Travis Hunter, 2024 Heisman Trophy winner, the Jacksonville Jaguars prized rookie, and owner of a staggering $46.65 million contract. For all his talent, Hunter assumed his toughest battles would play out on the field. He was wrong. His harshest test came in the unforgiving arena of social media, where every glance, every pause, every gesture becomes weaponized by an audience hungry for drama. And the spark that ignited it all? It didn't come from a dropped pass or an interception. It came on what should have been the happiest night of his life, December 14, 2024, the Heisman Trophy ceremony. The moment his name was announced as college football's most outstanding player should have been the crowning jewel of his career. But in seconds, celebration turned into controversy. As the auditorium erupted in applause, cameras caught something no one expected. While his mother and Colorado coach Deion Sanders leapt to their feet in joy, his fiancée, Lionel Leigh, stayed seated. That split-second hesitation became the shot, frozen, replayed, and dissected frame by millions, as if it were game tape.
His name was called. I instantly was gonna, if you watch the video, you can see me but his mom didn't get up. So I was like, oh, maybe I don't get up, maybe I just stay here with her. So I sat there and then y'all said Coach Prime had to tell me to get up. No, he didn't. He said, go get him. Go get your man. And once Travis stood up, but he didn't have to do that because I was gonna do that.
The internet pounced with ruthless predictability. What should have been a once-in-a-lifetime celebration quickly morphed into a trial on love, loyalty, and whether Lionel truly stood in Travis's corner. Accusations flew across timelines faster than one of his touchdown passes. But the reality was far less scandalous, and far more nuanced. Lionel's decision to stay seated during the Heisman moment wasn't indifference. It was respect. She was navigating complicated family dynamics under the glare of national cameras, choosing to let Travis's mother bask in the spotlight and own the stage she had helped build through years of sacrifice. Yet the internet wasn't interested in context. To them, the story was already written in bold letters. She didn't cheer, so she didn't care. And once social media locks onto a narrative, facts become background noise. The backlash didn't arrive quietly. It came in relentless waves. Trolls flooded comment sections with the same recycled stereotypes that have haunted young, successful black men for generations. Gold digger, wrong girl, he can do better. What some dismissed as just opinions was, in truth, a coordinated smear campaign, shredding the reputation of a young woman whose only misstep was loving someone in the spotlight. What should have faded as a minor misunderstanding ballooned into a full-blown spectacle. For months, self-appointed detectives dissected Lionel's every public appearance, slowing down videos, replaying gestures, and analyzing facial expressions as if they were courtroom evidence. One clip in particular poured gasoline on the fire. At an Oklahoma State game, cameras caught Travis leaning in for a kiss and Lionel appearing to pull away. The split-second moment went viral, instantly filed into the growing case against her love for him. But beneath the memes and messy comment sections was a darker truth, the toll it took on her as a person. This wasn't harmless gossip, it was psychological warfare. Travis later admitted on a Twitch live stream that the constant hate broke Lionel down so badly, she cried herself to sleep at night.
You think they're gonna feel sorry for her? You think they're gonna have compassion? You don't see these trolls out here, bro?
Travis's confession stripped the drama of its tabloid sheen and exposed the raw human cost. This wasn't just internet chatter, it was emotional devastation. He revealed that sometimes Lionel turned to drinking just to cope. A young woman who only wanted to celebrate her fiancé's greatest achievement was instead drowning in humiliation, her reputation torn to pieces while the internet laughed at memes built on her pain. And the cruelty wasn't limited to faceless trolls. Big names piled on, too. Former NFL star Des Bryant even went so far as to publicly suggest that Hunter should leave Lyanna, declaring she wasn't right for him. Though he later deleted the post, the damage was already irreversible. By that point, the controversy had spiraled so far out of control that retired professionals felt comfortable telling a young man to abandon the woman he loved in front of millions. Then, as if the firestorm needed more fuel, Dr. Umar Johnson waded in, injecting racial dynamics directly into the debate. His comments didn't just critique the relationship, they reframed the entire controversy through a cultural lens, ensuring the drama only grew heavier, louder, and harder to escape.
I have issues with it because I believe black men should be married to black women, and this looks like it's going to be another tragic tale of another multi-million-dollar black athlete who sooner or later is going to get divorced, and his non-black wife is going to run off with all of his career.
Dr. Umar's remarks only deepened the storm, adding another layer of chaos to an already volatile situation. Overnight, what began as scrutiny of one couple morphed into a cultural flashpoint. The conversation was no longer just about Travis and Lyanna. It had expanded into a broader debate about race, money, and the heavy expectations placed on successful black athletes when it comes to their personal lives and romantic choices. What should have remained private, two young people simply navigating the ups and downs of their relationship, was hijacked and twisted into a public referendum on loyalty, respect, and financial responsibility. A love story became a battleground, and their lives were reduced to symbols in a much larger cultural fight.
I have, and I saw that comedian Godfrey had responded to the news that Travis Hunter was engaged and that it had been purported that his fiance had stated that he originally was not her type, but that he had, and I'm paraphrasing here, he had since that time won her over. And with them being engaged, it appears that marriage will be coming at some point in the...
And through it all, the harshest glare fell squarely on Lyanna. The expectations placed on her were impossible. She was expected to always smile, always cheer, always radiate gratitude. Anything less, even something as small as a neutral expression in the crowd, was twisted into evidence of hidden motives or flawed character. By December 2024, the pressure grew so suffocating that both Travis and Lyanna deactivated their Instagram accounts. For them, it was a step toward peace, a chance to breathe outside the noise. But critics didn't see it that way. Instead of recognizing it as self-preservation, they painted it as proof of guilt. It was in the middle of this toxic storm, trolls, celebrities, and cultural commentators all clawing for a piece of the narrative, that Stephen A. Smith chose to step in. And he didn't just join the noise, he redirected it. With a platform powerful enough to shift the conversation, Smith made a choice most in media won't. He defended rather than attacked, protected rather than exploited. That decision turned into a defining moment. Suddenly, this wasn't just about Travis and Lyanna anymore. It became a test case for the industry itself. Would sports media keep chasing cheap sensationalism, or would it finally stand on humanity when the stakes were highest? Smith put his reputation on the line to shield a young couple, but not everyone followed his lead. What came next revealed a clear divide. Some doubled down on criticism. Others flooded timelines with unsolicited advice. A smaller group stepped up with real support. The entire spectacle exposed the difference between responsible commentary and opportunistic attention-seeking. And perhaps the scariest part of all? It wasn't only faceless trolls fanning the flames. It was public figures with massive platforms choosing to turn a private struggle into a public feeding frenzy. Much of the commentary flooding in had one thing in common. It spoke on the lives of two young people without context, without care, and without any thought for the damage those words could cause. And at the center of that noise stood Dr. Umar Johnson, one of the most polarizing figures in the entire saga. Instead of leaving a private matter private, Umar dragged racial politics into the conversation, spinning it into a debate over black wealth, loyalty, and interracial relationships, takes that many found divisive, messy, and downright dangerous. His sharpest critiques zeroed in on money. He went beyond questioning the relationship itself, suggesting that Travis's judgment, financial and personal, was compromised by the woman he chose to love. Umar's commentary underscored how far off track the discourse had gone. It was a troubling reminder of how certain public voices feel entitled to police the choices of young black men under the guise of racial protection. His approach stood in stark contrast to Stephen A. Smith's, measured, empathetic, and rooted in understanding, revealing the glaring split between tearing down and lifting up.
But Umar wasn't the only voice.
From the hip-hop world, rapper Eno stepped into the fray with what initially sounded like a more balanced perspective. He noted the generational divide, pointing out how many older figures struggle to believe young love can be genuine in an era dominated by cameras and constant online exposure.
Yet even his take turned dark.
What began as observation quickly shifted into prediction. Eno warned that success and temptation would eventually crush Hunter's relationship. For all its framing as wisdom, the underlying message was the same. Their love was doomed before it ever had a chance. It wasn't just media figures and culture critics fanning the flames. Celebrities with massive platforms joined in, making the storm even worse. Des Bryant went as far as publicly advising Travis to leave Lyanna, bluntly claiming she wasn't right for him. He later deleted the post, but by then the damage was irreversible. Then came Bow Wow, who couldn't resist inserting himself into the saga. On the Club Shay Shay podcast, he warned about women who could derail a man's goals, clearly suggesting Lyanna might drag Hunter off course. Though he later tried to clarify, saying he wasn't dissing Travis, only offering hard-earned wisdom from his own past, the problem remained. Too many older men were projecting their failures onto a young couple, speaking as if every love story had to end the same way. By this point, the pile-on felt predictable, but no less devastating. Each new comment, each new opinion, pushed the couple further into the harsh spotlight, transforming their relationship into a public trial. And with every celebrity voice that piled on, others felt licensed to follow suit, creating a snowball effect that threatened to bury Travis and Lyanna under an avalanche of noise. The most chilling part wasn't just the cruelty, it was the double standard. Hunter's athletic greatness was celebrated, but his choice in love was treated as public property, open for strangers to dissect and dismiss.
The contrast was glaring.
Where Stephen A. Smith called for empathy and context, others demanded suspicion and separation. Where Smith urged evidence before judgment, others thrived on gossip and assumption. And then came the most heartbreaking moment of all. In July 2025, Lyanna posted a TikTok, but the video had been recorded back in December 2024, at the height of the chaos. She sat alone in a bathroom, tears streaming as a motivational sermon played over the audio. Her caption cut even deeper: "I wish I could go back and hug December me." The amount you can grow and develop in just 6 months of devoting your life to Jesus and breaking free from the shackles of the world and social media is truly astounding.
It was raw. It was vulnerable.
It was a glimpse into the real cost of the pylon, showing both the depth of her pain and the strength she had found by turning to faith and stepping away from the noise. Even this moment of growth didn't escape misinterpretation. Critics twisted the TikTok into rumors of divorce or a secret breakup. But anyone looking past the gossip saw the real story. A young woman who endured public humiliation, reclaimed her voice, and rebuilt herself through faith and personal growth.
Support began to emerge amid the chaos.
WNBA star Angel Ree commented, "So proud of you, baby. The storm doesn't last forever." Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders defended Travis, calling out celebrities like Des Bryant for airing personal matters publicly instead of reaching out privately. These interventions proved that not every high-profile figure was willing to join the mob. Some chose compassion over destruction. Sanders' defense resonated especially because it came from someone living the same pressures, another young star navigating the intense glare of public scrutiny. It was personal, authentic, and a stark contrast to the noise of social media and celebrity commentary. Here's the undeniable truth. Despite all the wild rumors, speculation, and outside voices trying to tear them down, there has never been any credible evidence of infidelity, divorce, or major issues between Travis Hunter and Lyanna Lee. As of August 12, 2025, that alone highlights the vast gap between gossip and reality, showing just how quickly false narratives can spread when amplified by high-profile attention seekers. Their love story endures not just because of their bond, but because voices like Stephen A. Smith chose to protect rather than exploit, to defend rather than destroy. In a world quick to tear people apart, their story is a reminder that conscience, compassion, and courage still matter. Yes, the digital storm may continue. Yes, celebrities may keep piling on. But genuine love, supported by principled voices unafraid to go against the tide, doesn't just survive, it thrives.